Hey, hello, hello, hello. Got my coffee. Caleb, what's up, man? Okay, so let me share screen here. Couple little things. Kind of Mondays is like it's sort of like my last day of the week. The way like if I make lists of productivity, it usually starts because Tuesdays was the day I was volunteering this place downtown, but they actually hired me, so I just work one day a week there. And so that's like a non-art job, although there's some art overlap. And then it's like the week starts of everything I want to get done for comics. So it's like Tuesday night, Wednesday through Monday, and then Monday's the last day. And a lot of times Monday, I'm kind of like out of juice. I'm sitting here this morning. I'm like, what do I want to work on? I don't know. I'm like, I'll go live and make some lists and stuff. But one thing is, let me throw this up. Um, Here. My computer, it has the bar at the bottom that you click to like open apps. And usually when you take your mouse off of it, it goes away. But for some reason lately, and just at kind of at random times, but it's been like this for like a week, that bar doesn't go away. So then any open window, they always put buttons at the bottom, and then the bar, because it goes over windows, it blocks the buttons. So like I'm trying to click the screen share button. I have to minimize the window to drag it above the bar. I don't know. So much, too much. Share screen. So as if people are popping in, just know. So we did. I launched the new cover, and it's just an add-on, but Kickstarter lets you adjust pretty easily. You just add it because you don't even get charged till the end of the campaign. Which, by the way, so that's like if anyone's thinking about backing, I think they let you do like split payments too. So uh, anyone can back uh, now if they want. Three people watching, but yeah, you can add it to your campaign pretty easily. So actually, the backer numbers haven't gone up, but the total did go up by like 40 so far, or something like that. Like I think two people added it, so there's probably two sold of the Grand Prix um, new cover, which I don't even have it. It's not even on the campaign. There's a thumbnail for the add-on, but it's like the big Grand Prix font with the two characters because there's a version of that for Grand Prix 1 and Grand Prix 2 and now Grand Prix 3. Um so that's it was like even like my own OCD. I wanted to do a cover like that cuz I realized there wasn't an offering cuz it's nice now you can own 1, 2 and 3 all of that cover style. 5 people watching, people popping in. How's it going, everyone? But yeah, we'll see if this goes up at all while we're talking. That'd be sweet. One thing I was gonna say is 7,600. That's a nice Kraken 600 is nice. It was dead in the water all weekend. It's been like 3, 4 days of nothing. So we're due for some backers. If people have been holding off, now is the time. But 7,600, so close to 8,000, which Kickstarter you have to raise the goal to get the money, and there's still 28 days, so it's you know, I don't want to jinx it by saying guarantee we'll make it, but it's like that was a good first 30 days and we got pretty close to the goal. Now the next thing is I would love to just cross that goal and like take a deep breath and celebrate for a little bit and then move on to like, a few stretch goals or whatever. We're going to launch on Indiegogo too. And yeah, the split on Hotel Story, it was a little surprising more than I thought, where it seems like people do prefer Indiegogo, or there's a lot of people out there who prefer Indiegogo. Where for Hotel Story, that was the last campaign to launch with on both on Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And I think Indiegogo launched halfway like this, like 30 days in, then the Indiegogo launches. And it ended up being 9,000, 3,000 was the split. And now my own like funding goals, I really want Earthbound to beat Hotel Story because Hotel Story is like a passion side project, but Earthbound is like my bread and butter, so it's like my main book. And it feels like it's underperforming slightly at this point. What can you do? I don't know. But I'm still grateful for all the backers we are getting. And I'm sure by the end, who knows? Like I don't want to jinx it by guessing numbers, but like maybe we'll hit, through Indiegogo. And I think Hotel Story was like close to 200 if you count both. And I mean, that'd be, it's kind of enough to keep the ball rolling a little bit. That would be sweet. But yeah, you do wonder, it's like, is this a sign of the market of like, I got to get some other projects in the cooker, or I need to like get a storyboarding job or something, because comics is kind of definitely, not being super viable right at the moment. Six people watching. How's it going, everyone? Grand Prix is a special book, though. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to remember what happened like back in the day. I think the magic. It's like enough time passed, like the magic wear it off, and now people they'll read Earthbound, and people are like, "Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good." It's people aren't really. It seems like they aren't being like, "Oh wow, this stands out. This is like amazing, borderline, whatever." That's like what people were saying when Earthbound first came out. And even now, yeah, it's like the same book but different reaction. And it's like I think because of the the freshness and whatever, the whole scene, and kind of like it it was like standing out partly because the quality was kind of down in the mainstream, and then even crowdfunding, everyone's doing their first book. And so if you judge it by first books, because Earthbound was a first book, then it can really be like a high percentile of the competition. It would be like 99th percentile or something. But now, yeah, we're talking like the market is more like everything. And yeah, it's like Earthbound, you know, the art, not everyone likes the art style. And even the writing, which I'm really proud of. Yeah, people read it and be like, oh, I really enjoyed that. Not everyone will be like, oh, this is mind blowing, which people were saying that back in the day. So I don't know. I'm taking it all. I'm like, yeah, like trying to take it all for what it was at the moment, take it objectively or whatever. Um, okay. So what we got this going. Everyone go ahead and grab it if you see this and want to grab it. Grand Prix. Um, yeah, it is a good book. That's like I don't know. It's it's good. I'm excited to get the first trade out, 150 pages. And I think so like that's something where like getting this number. So 128 people will read it. Well, and realistically, if you get if it's 128 backers, if you get like 100 readers, that's like pretty good. But yeah, we want that number to be as high as possible, because then you hit. So here's kind of what I think I was gonna say is like there's kind of a bunch of funny things like. So one thing is like, imagine that you have to start over from zero and you're totally broke, say, and you say like none of my other books exist, and I can start like like I have to start from totally nothing. But in some weird ways, that's almost like preferable. But because you think all of a sudden you have freedom, and you're like, and I think I would do like Percival. I would do a different art style, a traditional art style people seem to respond to a little bit more, and then you can sell original art, make a little bit more money. And I'm like, maybe I need to like do that sooner than later if I want to keep doing comics. And Earthbound has to go temporarily, not like full back burner, but it just wouldn't be the top priority the way it's been the last years or 6 months since I finished. It was actually like a year ago I wrapped work on Vatican City. Um, and Vatican City was that traditional art style that, you know, I suspect would maybe sell more. Um, so yeah, you can like make these schemes and you can feel this freedom. And but I was almost thinking like in that different eras, it's like Earthbound might have done that. Earthbound might have been the book to go from 0 to 100. And the thing that does that a lot of times in the past, the number one thing that's helped it has been basically like kind of like influencer types, people with bigger followings, saying that it's a standout book. Like they have to say they can't just say like it's really good, I liked it. They have to say like one of the best books I've read in a long time. If they say something, top 99th percentile, if they say something like that, then um then people do notice, and then all of a sudden you got like this kind of rolling snowball of sales coming in. And that now there's even ceilings to that, it seems like, but we've seen people come to the table with books that do make a splash. And I'm trying, that's why I'm like at different eras, because I'm like, even like Roach Balls was like that. Like I don't know how high Roach Balls got, if it got 20,000 or more, but it was like people were noticing, people were like excited talking about it. um and that's like a true kind of indie book doing that 0 to 100 thing, kind of coming out of nowhere, making a splash. uh in this era it feels like that's harder, but I feel like there are still examples. And like on the higher end, I feel like you could almost count um Kenneth Rockefeller's, what's his one called? The thing with that is, of course, he's like worked in the mainstream. The art is amazing, but that's an interesting like ceiling almost, where yeah, like okay, super amazing art that does get people talking. Guy from the mainstream has some following, launching, and it can. I don't know if the latest one, it might have been struggling to hit six figures, but that one feels like you can get six figures every time, and then you're like kind of making it. Uh, Student of God, what's up, man? How's it going, dude? 8 people watching, everyone. He's. I've been told I need to read Roach Balls. Yeah, I loved it, and I'd buy it again if it just another campaign with a new cover or something. Because I might have given it away. The books I really like, I always give them away to friends, and then um I rebuy them when I get the chance. But Roach Balls, it was big format too, which like magazine size. Uh, that one was kind of special in multiple ways. So yeah, so it's almost like a fantasy to do the 0 to 100. Like, what if I lost everything? I still have my left hand that I draw with. I still have my computer. I could write something, draw, launch a crowdfund campaign, like in a month, and then would could you do something like when the chips are down, like where you're really going for you, like if you count it, I don't know if you count it as selling out, but you're doing everything to try and make the most money possible. Which for me, I'm like, shoot, I think that might be drawing in that traditional style, which is different than um, Grand Prix. But that's like, and then as I say that, I kind of want to defend the Grand Prix art style, like, and maybe just lands where it lands. It's like, so yeah, like Grand Prix is not hitting the the kind of like everyone loving it art style, I guess. But yeah, like people who read it like it, and it's getting some backers, so we'll see. Uh, Seems like over the top stuff is hot. Absolute Batman and a lot of manga. Yeah, and sometimes they kind of come with a little meta narrative of like enjoying, like Absolute Batman was new, still is kind of new, and that's kind of fun of seeing like the new world. Like you're like, oh, there's Absolute Robin. It's coming up at some point, and so each. And I know there was like a version of that. It was sort of like the Flash story where like they kind of go to an alternate dimension, I think, because of his time travel, and then there's alternate versions of all the characters, and then you just get to see the alternate versions. So, and then that's fun, but that's like borderline gimmicky. But the thing that kind of makes Absolute Batman feel less like that, less gimmicky, is it's almost like people were comparing it to like the Ultimates, where at the time the Ultimates is like ultimate and absolute. They're these words that mean a lot or whatever, or like ultimate. Yeah, what does it mean? It means that the be all end all. They both mean that. And so you put a word like that in front of it, you kind of redo it, change it however you want. Um, and it kind of, in the Ultimates case, like it feels like that didn't like become like the non-canon spin-off version, that nobody cares about because they all care about the real one. That almost feels like it replaced the real one or is equal or more than the real one. And like Absolute Batman, that probably will happen at this point. Like Absolute Batman, it's funny, it might like straight up replace Batman. That would be kind of crazy. Um, yeah, 8 people watching. Everyone, how's it going? Have you backed Grand Prix yet? Yeah. So I, at the risk of like sounding like, yeah, like I don't know, going live and talking about why it might be sort of underperforming. Not even like objective versus subjective or how I feel about it, how dopamine levels I've gotten, but just like based on the previous campaigns, there's a few facts. Like the Grand Prix 1 and 2, these were floppy releases. They both were average like 15,000, I think. And it's you're like, yeah, it's just, I mean, the thing I keep coming back to is like it's a different era, I guess, where it's harder. And yeah, some of the audience isn't there anymore. I don't know. But yeah, this one's crazy because it's a trade. It's collected of 1, 2, and 3. So you would think it would be like quite a bit higher. Like I would almost guess based on those old numbers, you know, like yeah, 3 would bring in a certain amount of money, and then the collected trade would bring in a certain amount of money. And yeah, you're looking at in the 20s, maybe. I don't know. And yeah, that's not the case. So it makes you just wonder. So yeah, we'll see. Like we'll see what my next move is. It's either going to be Percival, like maybe moved up, uh, to try and get that move going this year and see. And then you're like, well, what if Percival doesn't do good? That'd be weird. Um, but if it doesn't, then it would be like, okay, I got to get a job, and if I can in like video games or animation or something or art related or teaching, a lot of artists go to teaching. Um, but and that's not the end of the world. That's not terrible. But yeah, I've been on this streak. I've gone almost 10 years. I've been a professional comic artist, and a lot of that's just crowdfunding. But there's in the early days, like exactly 10, 10, 11, even 12 years ago, I think that was my late 20s, and I was checking Craigslist every morning in LA and doing random storyboarding gigs in LA, and they didn't pay that good, but I was living with a roommate in Arizona I was working a part-time job at a movie theater in Arizona, and rent was $300 a month for this cockroach riddled little room. My roommate lived in a separate Adobe abode. Um, and he was cool, but I didn't see too much of him. And yeah, just kind of this weird uh, living situation. I remember once though that was kind of crazy was I had to go to the bank. I had to pay rent in cash, and I had to get $300 out of the bank, and then I put it in my pocket and I bike home. I didn't have a car; I just bike everywhere. My bike eventually got stolen, and because I chained it up wrong, they stole the tire, or they stole. I chained the tire but not the frame, and they stole the frame, something like that. When I went in to go see a movie, I forget what movie I went to see, like at the theater that I worked at. Predator 7 was I see all the Z's and like at first I was like, oh, is he saying my story's boring? Um, well read, what's up, man? 7 people watching, but yeah. So I bike home to pay rent, check my pocket, and the envelope is gone. The envelope isn't there, so it had at some point fallen out of my pocket. This envelope with $300 in it, and at that point, that was like all the money I had. So I was like freaking out a little bit. I think I was like sort of crying. And then, but I ended up retracing my steps on my bike. And then there's huge highway, like 8-lane highway that doesn't have too much traffic the way some of these roads do, like depending on the time of day or whatever. In the middle of, uh, shoot, where did I live in Arizona? I was like, not Phoenix, not Yuma. It was a college town. I don't know. I'll think of it and I'll tell you guys where I lived in Arizona. But it was close-ish to Yuma. It was desert. I think maybe all Arizona's desert. But, Bobby Christophers, what's up, man? Student of God, when is part two of the dog book coming out? It looks like it's going to be in the summer, so I'm waiting to see how that goes too, and what that all entails. Um, yeah, there's a new crime going around where criminals rob people who just left the bank. It's called jugging, but it's just mugging. Yeah, but yeah, so I'm crossing that giant highway with no traffic, and I see an envelope blowing in the wind down the highway, and I'm pretty sure it's my money. And so I ran out without thinking, and I run to grab it. I kind of have tunnel vision on it, and this car goes, and they like honk their horn at me. It wasn't like I almost died, but yeah, that I was not paying attention to the traffic. I was a little lucky. The timing wasn't terrible because it was like a boy running into the road after a ball kind of thing. Like I was running after the money. But anyway, I got the money, paid rent. But yeah, in those days, I was just doing Craigslist, LA Craigslist every morning, and I'd bring in, maybe like 500 a month doing that. And a lot of weird jobs and quick jobs, some networking from it, but nothing crazy. Slowly getting a little bit better at various things here and there. It would kind of help with that. But then crowdfunding comes in. Praetor selling his body on Craigslist. Epignosis, a new cover. You say? Guess I need to check that out. Yeah, Epignosis. You're a completionist, I do believe, and yeah, you can just adjust your backing for with ad because it's an ad. It's a new add-on. It's cover B. You can just adjust. Kickstarter lets you do that real easily. If you're interested, Bobby Nar, you ever heard of Elephant Men? I found a giant ass trade paperback of it for like $5. It's so trippy, interesting art. Feel like you dig it. No, I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, I'll check it out. If I see you at any of these conventions, if you bring it, just let me borrow it. Bobby, I saw you liked some of my Instagram. I'm like never on Instagram, but I saw Bobby uh, patrol in my old Instagram post with a few likes. That was fun. So fun. Um, but yeah, so I guess in the one thing is like you can kind of build a little aura around a project. And there was a time when Earthbound had a lot of aura, and now it doesn't have as much aura. So, but what I was going to say is the thing that'll build aura. There's even there is a ceiling for it, but it's like word of mouth essentially. And so, what I'm looking for here is hopefully, yeah, we're looking at 200, 300. 300 was my goal, and who knows, we'll meet that, but getting 300 readers, say like actual readers, they all read the books. And if 300 people read the trade for Grand Prix, that's good numbers that will bear fruit as far as building some aura because there will be in those 300 readers, there will be people who really like it and who take it under their wing and tell people about it or whatever and mention that it does seem to stand out amongst the competition in various fun ways. Um, but yeah, it's kind of starting over with that. Like a lot of it's not carrying over. I don't know. I mean, it's just because so much time passed. Uh, and yeah, and yeah, it makes me wonder about Earthbound. Like Earthbound is like the art is borderline rough in Earthbound because I drew it so long ago. Uh, but I still like it and defend it. And some people who like it, they say that's why they like it. But I'm like, yeah, I kind of wish Earthbound would like build infinite aura and I could just relax. But that did not happen. The aura slowly faded and died, and now nobody knows about it or cares about it or talks about it. But Grand Prix will rebuild it slightly. And then it's like, yeah, so the aura, there's some pre-launch aura just around Percival because I talk about it a lot, and I do kind of hype that up a lot. Um, aura. Uh, and yeah, and the other project I'm working on is Naked Samurai, which is kind of fun. So I don't know. You ever think of doing like the figure drawing on here or something? I'm trying to get more fluid dynamic with my shit like you, Carrie Andrews. Let me ape you. Yeah, but probably not today. But you know who I kind of want to draw is is it Alyssa Liu? Is that her name? The skater. She's fun. She's on Twitter. Or, her. She's exploding. And there's a lot of fan art of her. And I was like, I'll do one. I'll draw one of her. Okay. So I'll pivot here just a little bit. Praetor, did you say you're taking figure drawing classes? Oh, you know what it is? I kind of mistyped. It's a life drawing session and it costs 20 bucks, 15 plus 5 tip to the model. And it's once a month. A local gallery does one. And I go to those. It doesn't end up being monthly, but I try to go to every one. And I went to one yesterday. And I definitely think life drawing, like, it just, it never, it's never not a good thing to do. It will always help at any age and at any level. Um, yeah, so I do that, and I have been doing like a fair amount of studies and stuff. I think I am still like improving as an artist or whatever. And the thing that's coming up too is like this is where like a lot of my different projects they have different art styles. So like I get a little nervous about that. It's like the one that feels like it'll just bring in the bacon now, it's Percival, but then I'm nervous about that, of course. And I'll probably try and release it black and white first, and that is an issue potentially. Um, but yeah, there's Naked Samurai, and I'm doing a manga one. The manga, I wonder if I can even show one of the pages of the manga. You guys want to see? It turned out, in my opinion, good, but it's funny. I drew it. I have to stop sharing and then reshare. I think if I do this. Okay. Um, what was I saying? Something about the manga drawing. Oh, I drew and redrew it many, many times, trying to figure out how to draw this manga style. Plus character designs for like a year, just kind of like sketching at night because I know kind of the style. The style like sort of wanted to was like it's almost like PlayStation, Nintendo 64, so like late 90s, but kind of cartoony. Like there's an old PlayStation game called Tomba, and I was using some of that for reference of that kind of style. Let me see here. One second. So this is Brendan Swan wrote it, and the script is actually I feel like I love it. I think it's kind of amazing, and that was one of the good things that came out of the kind of golden age. Where it was actually Earthbound 2 was kind of a smash hit. That one raised like 80,000, and of that 80,000, it was like 50,000 got reinvested back into comics, like everything. And a lot of that's like, still it's still coming out as Cerberus, the dog one. Um, and then there was the short story collection and Hotel Story. Hotel Story ended up kind of just breaking even, but it's still, by breaking even kind of means that you get your investment back to keep the ball rolling in other ways. Um, and yeah, the shorts kind of broke even. Cerberus, we'll see. Hopefully, it does a little bit more. But yeah, it's funny like investing 50,000, kind of getting these comics made, and then getting 50,000 back. I'm like um. But one of the things I did was hire Brendan Swan to write something for me because I really liked Disintegration Street, and he just wrote the greatest thing ever. Um, So let me hold on. Where is it? It's yeah. I'll try and show you guys like everything that I have so far. I'll just share this project. Zay just finished Hotel Story 2 last night. Nice. You finished it, Phil. Thank you. Thanks for reading it. Definitely appreciate readers. Um okay. All right, I'm sharing. So this is the manga project. It's called Scarlet Magic, written by Brendan Swan. I kind of like having something where I'm not the writer. At least one thing, more even. At this point, I got like 3, 4 books in production. Grand Prix just finished, but then eventually I'll pick up on part 4 of that. But so this is like the first page, and I think this will probably stay. I probably won't redraw this, but the lines are kind of thin. I drew this on I think 11 by 17 with a 102 nib, which ended up being like too small, even for manga, because manga prints smaller. So if you use a really thin nib, it almost like gets too. It starts to look really bright, like the ink lines don't even show up or whatever. Um, but I might just leave it because it still is okay. But then because of that, I did a bunch of like tests. So I tried thickening the lines, and for a while I thought this looked better, but it just looks kind of weird if you look at it close. It's like maybe just stick with the actual lines that I actually drew, or redraw it because I've been redrawing everything. But it's funny, I redrew everything like 2 or 3 times. Now I'm done redrawing. But I'll show you what other pages. So I'll close these as I go. So there's that. So this page, yeah, it was one of the first. It's like another test. Uh, and I think these lines have been thickened as well. Uh, this for a time was a final. After messing with it a lot, I kind of got a final going. But I have a new version where it's just 2 panels, like combined panel 1 and 2, just have more room. Um, and we'll actually kind of like almost deleted panel 1. So this panel's way bigger, but just has way more room. Um, and then there's no beat of him initially throwing it. It's just like throw and smash, and he's already jumping. And that's like a little lesson I might have learned with manga is like, at least for me on this, like, and I'll look at manga, they don't all do this, but I really like, yeah, like, because it's already printed smaller. I kind of like, 3 panels max, if possible, kind of a lot of room. Uh, Noah, what's up? What's up, man? Um, okay, so yeah, these, bam, bam, bam. This is page 2. Oh, yeah, I might have to redraw. Yeah, they did a bunch of versions of this one. So there's version 1. This is where he's talking about like what he had to do to go through to get here. And it like if I zoom in, like I mean like it all looks okay, whatever. It all looks like that drawing is fun. But it was like a learning curve. Then I redrew it just to test not dynamic panels, just flat. And this is drawn a lot smaller and kind of faster with a bigger nib, so it'll read faster. But anyway, after all these tests, what I ended up doing is drawing manga style with a G pen, which is how they all do it the most normal way. Then it reads fine, it looks good. Um, and so that's what I'm going to do going forward. Uh, yeah, so much tinkering these pages. So that was a final version at one point, and this does look decent. The design here is okay, kind of fun uh, appeal on the character. Yeah, so this is the new one though. So let me see if this is okay. So this is a redraw of this page, and this was drawn the teeniest, tiniest. It was actually at like the layout size I do, which is half of 8.5 by 11. So you can picture real small. I sometimes will draw mini comics at that size and then shrink them. But I just drew it with a magnifying glass, going kind of slow with a really tight nib. I tried this. I did this page. And now I wouldn't mind reading the whole comic like this style, drawn small with a magnifying glass and a tight nib. Like it gives you like a feel. But I was kind of looking at it. I'm like, like this panel looks cool. Like there he is, and but it doesn't look like I want it to look. So then I did this one. This is the new final, and this is manga size with G pen, and to me this looks like real manga or whatever, and it reads at any size. So I'm excited. I'm excited. It's gonna be cool. I'm gonna do more pages. I can keep you guys posted. This one too, it has a really cute main character girl. So when we get to her, if I draw her well, then this could be a smash hit. Adding the tones in Clip Studio, yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, yes. Okay, that's about it for that. Manga is great, just like Tombstone. 16 people watching, by the way. Anyone want to grab the new cover? You can add it to your campaign. It's that's right here. Anyone who hasn't backed wants to back, go ahead. You can see we're really close to 8,000. So I really want to hit that. Campaign's been dead in the water past few days, but we launched the new cover, so it's been ticking up a little bit. A few people adding it to their order. But yeah, hitting 8,000 would be sweet. Would be so sweet. Okay, so now the last thing I kind of want to do, see if I have this, is here. Okay, and I have this notebook, so I'll transcribe from the notebook to the Google Doc. So I have it. Now this is kind of getting into next year type stuff because it's kind of the way it works. I'm usually writing like timeline wise, whatever I'm writing, probably won't even draw for like at least a year. Um, and then that kind of lets it stew and lets me do a little final rewrite or whatever, get fresh eyes on it before I do start drawing it. But I've got this personal project and it's kind of ambitious. It's a lot of writing before I even get started just because I have a lot of other stuff to draw. And I have this option if I could do Naked Samurai and the Brendan project. Hopefully those will keep the ball rolling and then do Percival, or I'm like, should I do Percival now? Because that is the one that feels like I'm most excited about, the most aura, whatever. Um, Infinite, less than 400. I know, so close, so close. So many have already backed it. Thanks if you have. I know Infinite has. Um, and it's okay if you haven't yet either, or but if you're thinking about it, go for it. Okay, so the the personal project, it's a little bit like a giant arc is almost like it's like a season of TV. I'm writing it more episodic because I previously had been writing just pretty much straight up movies and then turning the movies into graphic novels, and I wasn't focused at all on like the issue structure. And sometimes the issue structure will work good anyway. Just the way the story goes, it'll have these turning points that work really good for breaks in the issues. Like Grand Prix is actually like that. But for these, I'm deliberately making sure every issue works kind of on its own. But each episode has 3 issues, and the episodes work on their own too. And so yeah, it's getting a lot more like embracing the comic medium. The Percival will be. But in the end, so that's 8 times 3, that's 24. It's going to be 24 30-page issues. And it's like even just the first one, I really want to slap and people enjoy it hopefully. But yeah, I feel like it's if you get to 3, that's the first episode, and that's another point where people will be like seeing what I'm going for or whatever. And then like by 9, that's the first 3 cuz after the first there's a two-parter, which would be almost like a movie, but it's not, the way it's structured, it makes it not really movie like. It's still more episodic or whatever. But so that would be like 6 issues, a 6-issue arc. It's kind of that second story. It's episodes 2 and 3 of the Percival. It's 8, yeah, because the Percival season is 8. Um, that would be the big one that I'm like, okay, by then, I just really want to get to that point and see what people think. I feel like it could make a splash, even in the mainstream, is what I'm hoping. We'll see, we'll see. Um, but and I want to look at like ways to like maybe get it published in the mainstream. I was thinking of maybe doing if I could find a way to afford it and see how much it costs, maybe doing like an image because I know with image you have to pay for it. I think but like just do it, just like put it out through image. The first 9 issues, it might cost, you know, does it cost 10,000 because it costs 20,000? Could you possibly like crowdfund that? Like crowdfund a deliberate image run, and then people know they would get the books before the image, whatever. That maybe you could. I don't know. All these things to think about. Or look at it maybe with Dark Horse, whatever. But seeing Image, it was kind of fun seeing Image because the latest book that exploded just looked fun, and seeing that process happen and work kind of was cool. Um, but I feel like you definitely want editors that are like in your corner that will read your books or your scripts and will respond to your emails. It's like not asking for much, but uh, yeah, they said I saw a little tweet. They said when Matt Damon and Ben Affleck wrote Good Will Hunting, they put like a butt rape scene in it so they would know, yeah, right out of the blue or whatever, where um where shoot, what's the last actor? I got all the actors except the last one now. Robin Williams like butt rapes Goodwill, and they would know like if people have read it or not because they would say we liked it, but what's with this one scene? So there were definitely like people who, and that's a little bit different because you almost can't do that with comics because people kind of will flip through it or whatever. If it's written though, for sure you can throw in some tests. But I thought that was funny. Um, yes. So, uh, Percival 8. Now of those, I'm writing the 6th right now, and there's one more issue to write, and it's going good. I know what to. I did a stream last week. I think like kind of brainstorming how it might go, and just talking out loud helped a lot. So I have that. So that will be done at some point in like a week or two. That'll be done. And that right now, that's kind of my main source of like dopamine. We've talked about this before of like what keeps you going as an artist, and it's like the art can feel a little bit like a grind, and you just do it, yeah. But when you're kind of like dreaming and daydreaming and like, oh, people are gonna love this or whatever, and what if this is the one that explodes and I get rich and famous or anything like that, any of those kind of daydreams, that's usually more with the writing. And with the writing also just like finishing, so you finish the episode so that it's that you're happy with it of what happens, because there are points in the writing process where you don't know what happens, you're not sure if it's going to be good, if you're going to be happy with it when it's done. uh Bobby Christmas, daydreaming is the shit. Yeah. So yeah, so Percival got 6. So then there's only 2 to do, and the last 2 is a double issue also. And that is like a big hill to climb. That I'll see how that goes, but like maybe by end of summer that might be done. But then all 8, literally everything, it will be done the entire first season of Percival. And now Percival, there's a season which is 8 adventures. Of those 8, it's actually 6 adventures because 2 of them are two-parters. And then there's the big, like, quote unquote mini series, which is like a 400-page script when he actually gets back to Camelot 40 years later, and King Arthur is in exile, nowhere to be found. Mordred rules the place, has ruled it for like 30 years because like Percival took way too long to get the Grail. And that was the original idea that got the whole thing started. And I wrote that first, but I'll probably rewrite that. But that is written. I have a version of it. and I like it, but I think it might need a rewrite or whatever. Um, and so I wrote that, and then I was like, well, Percival's journey with the Grail could be really fun episodic adventures where having this healing power comes up with these like moral conflicts of that he gets involved in, uh, almost like Star Trek. You know, like he has this technology that can help people, but the ways it can backfire and the problems he falls into as he's traveling. It's kind of like Hercules: The Legendary Journeys. So I watched some of that for inspiration, and yeah, so there's the miniseries where they get to Camelot. There's the season that's like 8 adventures, and then there's something called Percival Farthest Reaches, which is like the moment when he actually gets the Grail, which is the idea is he goes super far south. It's like pre-flood, so it's like kind of a version of it's like a Pangea-y version of like Europe and Africa. And he gets all the way to the bottom of the tip of pre-flood Africa, and that's where Atlantis is. And Atlantis has the Grail. He actually steals the Grail and he starts going north. And this whole journey, and he's losing the Grail at various points and whatever. It ends up taking, you know, by the time it's all said and done, I think I'll decide, but I think 30 years he's gone, but maybe 40. But I'm like 40 is a freaking long ass time have like to fill with adventures. Um, but one of the kind of fun things about it is he goes down and back up. So at any point, what he did on the way down, it echoes in remembrance of like his legend is starting to grow if he had an adventure at that point. So he's kind of encountering that as he comes on his way back up, where people will have known about him because they knew him on the way down, you know. So that's all like super sweet. So then all this is to say is that there is also Percival season 2, which I'll type out maybe some of those like ideas here. Which we might not even get to that because I'm going to say the other thing with Percival is so there's the mini series where he uh like sort of reclaims Camelot. What I have written is like 400 pages, and that ends with of script, so that would almost be like 800 pages of comic. Um, but it ends with him. Well, I'm trying to think like it's so far in the future, and it's almost like the story, but there's a story to be told of like of reaching Camelot and then reaching Arthur and then taking back Camelot from Mordred. That part of taking back Camelot from Mordred um hasn't been told, hasn't been written yet. So that would be like another mini series. And that one is the first one that has like straight up magic in it. Where Camelot is kind of being held with this like, you know, dark magic that they have to fight with, and it'd be more like Dark Souls when they have to go in and actually and then like yeah, like pretty sure like Lancelot bites the dust, you know, like because one of the things that first miniseries sets up is Lancelot's been waiting for Percival too, and he's in hiding, and he's like the ultimate badass, and they team up and they can like get shit done, but Lancelot doesn't make it all the way to the end, um, and yeah. So then I was like, well, maybe that and that kind of end. Then they take back the city, I imagine. But then I was like, maybe, but this is so far in the future, probably wouldn't even write it unless I got there. And the way the time, like I might do this when I'm like 70 years old or something. But then maybe there actually is the flood in this timeline, and they survive at sea for a while, and then the flood recedes after a few years. So there'd be like high seas adventures, pirates raiding islands, just like chaos during the flood, you know, like and then the flood goes away, and then it's like the modern era, but like so far long ago. And then Percival, because the Grail's making him kind of live this 600-year life or whatever, you know, a long ass life. Then I think he does kind of like retire and kind of like settle down with the lady, and then that's maybe like the actual end. And I don't know if I'll get that far, but yeah, farthest reaches, season 2, and now with season 2, the doing these like episodic stories, I I was like, this is scratching an itch. It's fun to write this way where it's these, they end up being like 90 page, 3 issues. And the issues themselves, you try and make them very like work on their own, but they'll make a one episode of Hercules, the Legendary Journeys or whatever. And previously I'd been doing like 200, 300 pages to tell a story. So getting that down to 90 feels good. It's fun. Kind of learned that through osmosis from working with Mark Miller because that's like how long Vatican City is. So this has kind of come up running through my head of like wanting to do these more contained stories. Also in the back of my head, then it's like you could send someone like an editor a 90-page story instead of a 200 or 300-page story. That can kind of help you get more like a calling card, get something out there. But then I was like, it could take, can I take this further? Can I do more episodic uh, of say like 30 pages and that's it? It's not 30 pages to tell one story. Then it's more comparable to like a half hour, TV show or something. And that's what Naked Samurai is. And my idea with that one was like, could I even think of like 100 ideas and then just do the best ones and see how far I get? And I kind of did that. Got five that I really liked. I actually wrote 6 or 7, but took five, and they go really good together. And they make a little mini arc themselves, but they're super episodic. And though I'm drawing those now, and those turned out really good. I can't wait for people to get a chance to check those out. But it got me kind of thinking already too, like of like, can I do five more? Can I do five more eventually? And I don't know if I'll be writing these even till like next year because it'll take like a year to draw the first five. Plus, I'm also trying to get ready to start drawing Percival. Percival season 2. That one I'm like, might try and do that one as a novel, so I don't even have to draw it because I'll like never get to it. So there's so much to draw. Because even like Percival season 1, which is 8 times 90 is 720 pages. And I still haven't figured out if I can color it or not. Like I want to do it maybe just black and white, get it out there. But then yeah, if you try and do it mainstream through Image, you probably need a colorist. But might do like maybe the crowdfunding release initially is black and white. But I don't know if that's the best business plan for the aura because sometimes it's fun to just drop it. Like what if you dropped it out of the blue? But I don't know. Or so these are the options. Is like as far as daydreaming goes for Percival is like and a release through Image. There is no crowdfund. Um, and yeah, issue 1 is issue 1. The only place you can get it. Maybe a few variant whatevers, and then a trade when it's all done of like the first 9. And you see how it does, and you know, or you could like do, crowdfund the black and white issues one by one. You know, then kind of do like an Image release in color after those have built up some steam. Um, But then I guess if those don't build up steam, then you're almost like killing it before it starts. But then it's like if those would have not built up steam, it's not like all of a sudden the Image one would have exploded. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know which one I like, but I like the idea. It is fun to think of like that possible Image release. Last I checked, Roach Ball is like $100 on eBay. Yeah, because it's like this big format fun book. And yeah, there weren't that many. The demands probably, they Rich could do another release of it. And I think, eventually the sequel will come out and you could probably buy both. Uh, that would be cool. People should pick it up then. Any idea when Percival might start to come out? Uh, well, that's a little bit what I'm like anguishing over is like I could start drawing it today, you know, but that would mean putting some other projects on hold or the back burner or whatever. And then I'm drawing as it's rolling, but I would definitely be able to finish all the writing before I caught up to it. Um, so that's one option. Or if not today, like in a month or two, like make it more of a this year thing to get started. Or I finished the Brendan Swan project. I finished Naked Samurai, which I'm already like kind of into those a little bit. So that feels like what I should do unless I make this big decision to put those to the side, focus just on Percival. And some of the decision is like what's most viable to make a living, keep making a living doing art, doing comics. And if I knew the answer, I would just do that. But it's like feels like Naked Samurai. I could crowdfund these when they're done, but there is a little feeling like even say for even Naked Samurai, because I kind of feel this about Grand Prix, but so Naked Samurai, it's gonna be five 20 to 30 page issues. It makes a trade. Um, if I like release those and they get like 200 readers, I would be a little disappointed for how good I think that book is. Like, I feel like that book should have 100,000. So then it's like, okay, what? So then maybe Naked Samurai should be the one to go through Image, and try and do it that way. Um, but I don't know. Much of this I have to kind of think about more. And I need to finish it. I need to get hopefully get a few editors to read it, see some options, see how some different releases go. But the one I'm not sure about continuing to crowdfund to dwindling numbers, even though I appreciate the readers I get, obviously, but it's like it can almost I wonder if it almost hurts a book more than helps. Like if it's just getting 200, if like Grand Prix getting 200, that like hurts the aura for if I wanted to eventually release it through Image or something, the people in their heads are like, oh yeah, that book kind of bombed, only sold 200. Um, why would I get that now or whatever? Like, oh, so it's like this happens with theaters when if you go theater or directly to streaming, people are like, they have to think strategically because if you release it in theaters and it bombs, then it has that stigma on streaming too. And you're like, well, you should have just released it on streaming and it would have done fine. But now it has this stigma. Um, and so yeah, it's like maybe whatever you do, and then it kind of gets almost like to the Steve Jobs thing of like, do one book, make it super special, try and get that number of backers. Like even in the current market, like if you hit everything just right, you could maybe seems like you could maybe get like 1,000. But that's like obviously crazy. But and then that feels like a pretty good hit. Then you could move it on to Image. And as I say that, it's like, um, if it's 1,000, like maybe one thing I could try is like, you would have kind of a lot of art, maybe have a first 10-15 page sample. I don't know, but it would be like a sign up kind of thing. And you're like, all right, we're not even going to launch unless this gets to like 1,500 signups. So help like, and then if it does get to that, then we'll launch. Um, and honestly, that saying that sounds crazy, and you're like, well, it would never get 1,500, but maybe that's like something to try. You would if you did that, you just have to have the art would have to be great, and like maybe you'd have to have like yeah like someone with influence read it and say that it's great. So you'd have to have some of it done. I don't know. You think Image would be better than crowdfunding it? Or are you thinking both? Liam Sharp did a book, Starhenge, through Image, and from what I remember, it did terribly, and that affected a lot. I thought. Is that from one way to the other? Like the crowdfunding did bad, and that affected the Image release, or did the Image release affect bad crowdfunding later? Definitely, either way, it would, you want them both. If you try and do both, you want them both to do good. So, however that works. And you see when they kind of will do this model, sometimes they do it with web comics where yeah, the books that are getting like the web comics that are getting published by Dark Horse, they're getting like collected and printed. They get like millions. These are like the cream of the crop, millions of readers. Then they print it, and then yeah, it'll sell a lot. Or even crowdfunds are like that. If it's a crowdfund that is going to make it $1 million, it's like has millions of readers from web comics, which that's like something to look at too. But I don't know too much about that. Uh, Application for iconic comics. They don't like me, Student of God, I think. um, from the olden days. I did something and they don't like me anymore. But I think Image takes a chunk of money up front, don't they, for promotion or whatever? Yeah, they take a percentage, and I think they might have you. Uh, they front on a loan, but you have to pay them back the printing costs, or you have to pay it, kind of thing. I don't think he did it. He says, "Oh, they might forgive you." Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the way to go. Yeah, they're doing great. Um, yeah, I have thought about Percival within the crowdfunding thing. Like, just saying you guys can imagine like there are like publishing and team ups options out there. And that where I'm not the one fulfilling it, I guess, like um that could be fun to mess with too. There's lots of options. Some person, how's it going? Okay, so I didn't even type, but yeah, I guess this is like the thing is there are ideas for a season 2 of Naked Samurai and Percival, and it's getting quite far ahead of myself with that. But those are some of the dopamine thinking of these fun ideas of what adventures might happen. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I need to dig deeper, type some of these out or not. We're over an hour. Let's take a look at. Let me look at this real fast. Yeah, so 7,609. Uh, grab that new cover if you're interested. Grab these books if you're interested. And yeah, wondering about the future, wondering about the next move. If it's crowdfunding or some. I want to do my stuff still, if possible. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of haven't even like sent out emails to be like, "Hey, can I have some work? Does anyone need an illustrator?" Either in mainstream or indies. I haven't done that, and I kind of don't want to. I want to just do my stuff. Um, and we'll see. Yeah, like off to bed. Peace out, Infinite. Yeah, I'm about to end the stream too. Um, but yeah, Naked Samurai, Percival, Brendan, Swan projects. They're all gonna be sweet. Grand Prix is gonna be sweet. I guess the benefit of Image would be the promotion distribution. I don't know if that outweighs how much you lose on giving them a share. It might be worth it just to get your name out more. Yeah, or some of that stuff is like it's worth like a test, but I don't know if I want Percival to be like the book I tested on because that's like my biggest project. It's like if I could test it with Naked Samurai, could try just like a 5 issue release of Naked Samurai. It would need to be colored probably. That one's black and white. But I wonder if I can show you guys. Let me see if I can show you a few Naked Samurai pages and then, because some of those pages are looking cool. Uh, 1 second here. What's a good page? One, two, three. Show you these. These are some new ones since after the um I did the preview that showed like the first 8 pages maybe. Like this. Yeah, so this is like you can kind of see the style. And you can imagine this colored. Um Dragging down. Yeah, so that's all. But that's like the style. Kind of wonder what it would look like colored. Trying at the book, you've already finished like Foreign Agent. Maybe. Yeah, I got to think about it. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for brainstorming with me, everyone. This stream, I guess, is mostly just thinking about the next move. What is the next move? Um, cool. All right, I'll see you guys later. I'm gonna end the stream. Bye bye.